Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Well, guys, there's a lot going on in this world. As we know, there's all sorts of craziness.
And it's terrible craziness, too. It's a kind of craziness that we all have been kind of sort of waiting to see, but hoping it wouldn't really happen.
And here we see out of the Daily Mail, there's actually, this is a pretty shocking video to see. The Mexican cartel fires a machine gun across the border into the U.S. with bullets zipping above National Guard observation posts as migrants are flooding in. The footage was captured by a reporter amid reports that the Texas National Guard members have seen cartel gunfights increase near the border recently. You know, they were actually taunted by the cartel. And so there's a video here from Fox News which shows hundreds of people, you know, are still crossing the border every single day, maybe more than that, maybe thousands. As we had talked about in October, they were expecting as many as 400,000 people to cross the border. And when you think about that, what other word can you really truly use but invasion? The number coming through is just insane. And, you know, no matter what your position is, I do believe, you know, again, that everybody should have the opportunity to better themselves. But I do think also that this is a perfect cover for things that might not be so obvious and above board.
Yeah, I know. They take a lot of things that are good and useful to us, and then they twist it to make it more beneficial for themselves and serve their own purposes, which is really sad because everybody wants to see something good happen. Everybody wants to see something that's going to benefit everyone, and they take these scenarios and kind of twist them.
You know, it's interesting too, because there was a post that was out that a couple of you guys brought up that I had seen previously, where there was this one person that was quoted as saying that the U.S. is not going to deteriorate into a civil war again, but that it'll be broken up. It'll be balkanized. It'll just be broken up into zones and, you know, run like by cartels, so to speak, something like cartels, like what we see over in Mexico, where, you know, the cartels, it feels like they have more power than any Mexican police force or even Mexican military force, as they control whole segments of the country and are running people over. And would they not run over the border people that they know were all about just simply infiltrating for later on, when they would be activated to actively engage in perhaps some sort of military activity here in the country? When things were at a certain place, a certain time, when the country was weakened to a certain point, I don't think that they have morals that would prohibit them from doing that. Of course not. And over here we see out of MSN, border left wide open after red states pull National Guard and police. Now, some of the states had, of their own volition, sent their own National Guard to go help Texas on the Texas-Mexican border. But, you know, all the states are dealing with their own issues right now. Now, this lady that's being interviewed right here, she actually lost the lower part of her leg on a train trying to get up and over the border, and she still came up and over the border. But we have certain states that haven't been able to keep them there because of monetary constraints. And as you know, there is most definitely the feeling in many states, especially Texas and a lot of the other red states, that the administration number 46 is not doing a dang thing about this. And if you're expecting 400,000 people to cross the border just in the month of October, you'd have to say that, yeah, you got to wonder about, as we've been talking about, that whole Trojan horse, which is operating on many different levels. I think there's different aspects to this whole Trojan horse phenomenon that we've been talking about on this channel, going back to the very beginning of the channel. And again, we do have two channels. We have Evolutionary Energy Arts, which was the original channel, which has tens of millions of views. And then we started EEARTS when Evolutionary was demonized. And, we always watch it every day, and we'll see so many people come on board, 25, 30 new subscribers. And then when you wake up in the morning, they've taken that away. Again, we're waking up to the fact that everything we've seen all along is just one big illusion. And more people are waking up to that fact. So the reinforcements from these other states have now gone back to the other states, such as, South Dakota, Arkansas, and others that did help out Texas, just simply because everybody, Iowa as well, everybody's feeling the pinch on so many different levels. Look at this bigger picture, guys. Look at the bigger picture, right? You actually have cartels shooting into the U.S. over the heads of National Guardsmen. This is where we're at right now. And then we look at this next article from the Connecticut Post, and it talks about hundreds of thousands of troops that have not yet complied with the dates for men, as the deadlines are going near, but there are a ton that have. So when we go and we break it down, 90% of active duty Navy is fully in compliance. 90% of the Navy is completely in compliance. 72% of the Marine Corps is. In the Air Force, you have 60,000 personnel that have 3 weeks to meet the date for men. Now, I don't know about you. Some might find those numbers reassuring. Others might find those numbers not reassuring. And when you think about it, 90% of the Navy is in compliance. Oh boy, I just feel like we're not at the point yet where they can pilot all the ships out there, all the subs, without personnel. And, again, I go back to that infamous year of 2005. And it feels like, they're just, as we were making fun of making Christmas songs and twisting them, talking about not Santa Claus, but maybe Xi Jinping making his list and checking it twice. Well, I think he's doing a lot of checks right now. Okay, check, check, check. Seattle could fire 40% of their police force over the date for man over there. 40%. Think about this. Think about the whole movement to defund the POLICE as well. You certainly, if you were doing some sort of Trojan horse routine here, wouldn't you want to kind of get people to just sort of make themselves more vulnerable? Doesn't it feel like that's what's kind of going on? And we see air traffic controllers in Jacksonville staged a walkout yesterday in response to that date for men. And it's being reported all the flights in and out were canceled as a result. And it's not just there. There's other places as well. Southwest Airlines cancels over 1,000 flights. And I saw numerous people commenting like, yeah, I was supposed to go pick up my sister, but she's still over in Florida, and things like that. So it does look like, because people will always question things, as there was questions saying, how do we know that Lebanon still is truly without power? The whole country is without power. Well, just go on Twitter, put Lebanon in there and look at some people's tweets that, are living in Lebanon. It's pretty much that simple. You can find out, pretty quickly a whole bunch of people's experience. And we've been wondering about all these crazy accidents all of a sudden that are happening. Here you have a performer dies on stage This is at Moscow's famous Bolshoi Theater. It was during a set change. A 37-year-old man was killed. Something fell on him. In normal times, does that happen? Maybe people are a little bit stressed. Maybe there's something else going on. Is there a little lack of oxygen flow to the brain for some reason? I'm just, wondering what's going on. And, well, what's going on with all these blue helmets? They say policia, police. This is in Italy. It's just the blue. And I went and searched just to see, Italian police uniforms and stuff. And, maybe in this one particular area, they're blue. But I hadn't seen this color blue used before. But people anyway in Italy definitely protesting against, these dates for men. This is the headline here: chaos hits Rome streets as they clash. But I did see these powder blue helmets on the NU. And again, we're going to do everything where you have to put it up to a mirror, and there is a changing of the guard going on. I feel, it's just something that says there's kind of a little bait and switch going on globally in many ways.
A little bit of a squeeze going on to people, and everyone's feeling this squeeze and constriction of being able to move, so movement's not so easy anymore.
So this gentleman gets a knock on his door for something he posted on Facebook 6 months ago, and it appears to be a picture at a protest, and there's a comment there that's, perhaps could be viewed as cynical. So these officers go bang on his door 6 months later. Did you post this on Facebook? This is a great reason to get rid of Facebook, and it's amazing how all these conspiracies, as we've been talking about, let's show the ones that were totally disproven. Which ones? Aliens? I don't think that's been totally disproven at all. How about the fact that your cell phone could actually cause health problems when you put it up to your head? Oh, don't worry, that's silly. Well, all the studies that show tumors. How about Wi-Fi? How about non-stick cookware? How about microwaves? How about, we could go on and on. Modification of the skies above us. How about FB is really just a tool of the powers that be. Same thing with TWI that we're looking at right here. Seems likely, and what I love, well, I shouldn't say that. I just told Cindy we can't give our personal opinions.
Nope, can't do it.
Well, what I love is you guys. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yes.
I love you guys and everybody that's awake. And this gentleman, gives these people that feel that they're doing their job some good questions. And, this is what we have to get across to people. Do you really understand what you're doing? Do you really understand what you're doing? Not thinking like a human robot, but can you actually, and I don't mean you guys, I mean certain people that are out there that don't seem to be utilizing their gray matter and their intuition to really understand the bigger picture. And this is a protest up in Toronto. They're having a picnic protest. And then in France, it's been ongoing every weekend. As we could go back to the Yellow Vests, France has been having protests for years now, every single Saturday. Now, the numbers they're saying here are pretty pathetic compared to what has been out in the past. But then again, just like NASA, we never get a straight answer when we're talking about the media. Why? Well, again, it's all about CON troll.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Afghan gun shops are now selling U.S. weapons that were seized by the Taliban. Isn't that amazing? Again, as we said, does it amaze you the level of incompetence that we see from the leadership on a global scale? Is it possible to be that incompetent? It just hits me as like, there's no way that you could be possibly as incompetent as what we've seen. Is there? I mean, really?
In a literal sense. It's just something to really think about.
And, we're out of Afghanistan. Sure, but we're right over here in Syria behind the scenes. As well, fire support vehicles spotted in northeastern Syria. We're still all over the place. I had said before that I was listening into a conversation one night when I left the router on. And see, I do get things, not like Cindy gets. Cindy gets things so dang clear. It's amazing, but I do get things, and the guides do work through me. They do come through me. I have a limited capacity compared to her in picking up the signals, but I do get messages. And this wasn't anything from the guides, so I didn't trust it, because it was more like I was listening into some of the controllers' jargon. And with training, people can remote view, and they realize this, and many people are actually remote viewing now, and this is part of why everything is on full force. Get everything as accomplished as fast as possible, because they know they have a limited window. There's a limited window for them to achieve what they need to achieve, because too many are going to be awake, and they just won't be able to do it when we're awake. And that's why we have these different agendas. That's why we have these 2021, 2025, 2030 dates, because they understand how things are going to progress. And, if we were in, say, 2030, 2031 right now, and we were only at the position where we are now, the stage where we are now, it would be crumbling so fast all around them that they would be just a thing of the past, the history itself. So this is why everything's got to be done at these times. Also, with the galactic treaties that many people are not, don't realize, and how many of us really realize what treaties are expiring on a galactic level. I mean, we're not in the loop. So unless we are contactees, we will not know. And, speaking about the contactees too, there was a question brought up by one of our family members, Mark, asking about, is it the Galactic Federation of Light or the Galactic Federation of Worlds? And it's so amazing, because, what we do see is we see a lot of the disinfo calling the legitimate disinfo now. And that's got to be pretty obviously part of the plan. Everything has been so infiltrated so deep that it's going to be hard to decipher. Everybody has to go within again. This is the thing. You have to develop your own abilities. Don't trust anybody. It's more of what you feel. And you have to be able to judge between what your wishes are and what you really feel. Because we might want something, like we might want there to be these battles going on in these deep underground military bases. We might want the Galactic Federation to have taken control of Mars and Moon. But militarily, no, they haven't. They're not going to. It's up to us to raise ourselves up to where they are. So when you hear these reports, what are they really doing? Well, they're playing on your desires. They're playing on your fears. And they're trying to, win you over, some, for just simply monetary gain. But there are others that understand people are going to be waking up. So as they wake up, like when they wake up to the fact that the political system is really an illusion, how do we control those? Okay, there are others that wake up to the fact that, Yeah. Oh, well, King James was the head of all the Masonic lodges in England and Scotland. Maybe I can't really trust this book. I trusted it in so much more. Maybe I should do a little more research and, understand that, the form of Christianity we have was originally given to us starting back at 300 years after Jesus, Yeshua, walked the earth by the Roman emperor, who was trying to salvage his empire because it was crumbling. And he had lost touch with the people who were being swept up by this Christian, quote unquote, fanaticism that would have been viewed as in modern terms. But in reality, people were doing, in some ways, a lot like the hippies, dropping out of society and peace breaking out and goodwill breaking out. You can't have that because, again, they rule through division and control. So what do? Well, the Roman Emperor has a vision and he's told to conquer in the sign of the cross. And everybody will now be Christian, but we're going to give you the version to believe. So all these pagan church, well, what becomes the churches, were past pagan holy places that end up becoming sites because many of them are on ley lines and sites of power and energy. When people go repeatedly over centuries to a certain area, to a certain place, and have a certain vibration frequency with them, it creates a certain power structure there. So they throw the churches on top of those and siphon and use that power and control the minds and the hearts of the people. And then, you know what? They had mandates in those days too, because once they had their official version, you could be labeled a heretic if you didn't believe what was the official state religion, and thus go through all the things that we're going through now, including death, execution, boiled alive, burned at the stake, etc., etc. The system has always given us these dates for men, and it just has changed over the years. So we have to wake up and realize that. They know we're going to understand, and people are going to wake up to the fact that we're not alone. The evidence is all around us. We've never been alone. The controllers have hid themselves behind the scenes, and they put puppets in place, human Homo sapien puppets, or partially Homo sapien. Some of their own bloodlines are intermingled there to be our rulership. And so they're the ones we could blame, but the real controllers are behind the scenes. But again, as we learn more and more about the real situation going on, we'll recognize that more people will be contacted by groups like the Galactic Federation and other benevolent ones out there, and start to receive messages as more people come online because of the DNA changes and regaining their abilities. It's inevitable. So they have to control the narrative. How do they do that? By basically putting out their own versions. I was saying, yes, there is a Galactic Federation. But yeah, okay, the bad guys are this, and these are the good guys. And of course, this is the bad guys giving us the info. Just go and look at the money behind them, the numbers. Are they getting censored? That's the first question. Are they being censored, or are they being promoted? Are they packing, different convention halls with tons of people? Then there's going to be something there that's going to be leading astray. They might give you 90% of the truth, 95, maybe even 98% of the truth. But there's going to be a little bit that they'll be able to control you with and lead you back down a different pathway that will return and keep power in the hands of the few that still control this planet.
And even if you look at the oneness of everything, Micah is saying how they mimic everything. There's a mimic for everything. With humans and animals and the earth, there's this oneness about us. And they're even trying to put together their own version of oneness, as far as the globe. Their controllers all coming together as one. I'm just trying to be very careful with my wording, but I'm pretty sure you guys are picking up what I'm putting down.
Most definitely. Yeah. So, again, there are others. As we know, we know of others that are on the exact same mission as us, that report to basically the same people, the same chain of command that you don't know of, you've never heard of. And while Cindy and I, are not known of by, tons of people all over, the globe, Evolutionary did show that we've reached, tens of millions, before they really clamped down on that. But the Galactics tell us that we're reaching many more than the numbers that they're showing us. But yet, they're going to want to show numbers for their own people that are very high to get you guys to go and look in. And so there are many channels out there with huge, huge subscriberships, but they're part of the control system. And if they're telling you things that you see no evidence of, show us.
Mm-hmm.
Show us. Give us the names of these people being released, being taken out of these, slave rings and underground. Give us some names. Let us see evidence of this, because we're not seeing it. And again, this is stuff we all want. So they're giving us what we want because we want to know that we're winning this battle. But it's always darkest before the dawn. And the reality is they are still in control at the moment on this plane of existence. Doesn't mean they will be 5-6 years from now. It's going to take time. We want instant gratification. And, especially in times that are so tough like this. So a lot of times, again, when you look to what happened in 1930s and in the 1940s over in Germany, so many people could not believe what was going on. But it was, they just had cognitive dissonance. They couldn't understand that this could really happen. And yet it did. And now we watch what's going on the global scale. A lot of people have cognitive dissonance. A lot of people have understanding and recognize the bigger picture because things have been coming out. But yeah, the true Galactic Federation is not running the moon right now, and they're not running Mars right now. These are still the same power brokers that are here.
Right. They're here to help us evolve into our best being. And they are here to help assist us in preparing for things that are to come. But that's their job. Their job is to pull out of us the best we can possibly do, the best we can offer, so we can rise up on our own.
Yes, exactly. It's all about us doing it and waking up. They're not going to interfere in that sense, because we might not understand it fully, but we've in some ways chosen to go through all this, even though many have been kind of trapped in a loop. And as we've shared, many of the same people that had inhabited the bodies of Denisovans and Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon, and other now extinct species that once walked this planet are here in Homo sapien bodies. A lot of the same souls have incarnated in these bodies, and they want to downgrade the vehicle for the human experience here on this planet yet again. This is what we are seeing. This is part of the bigger push that's going on. And so, don't fall into the trap of believing anybody, including us. And, Buddha warned against this too. He said, don't believe your parents just because they're parents. Don't believe your teachers just because they're your teachers, the religious authorities, the wise men, the sages. You gotta experience it for yourself. And you have to weigh it with the intellect and the heart. This is where we get to our own personal truth, because each one of us is going through this experience through a unique lens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, such a unique lens, such a huge, unique lens. We have to understand that people or beings, even your guides, cannot simply walk up and tell you what's going to happen from moment to moment, because that's to take away your free will. That's to take away your ability to grow, learn, make decisions. And, it's for soul growth. Very, very, very important. And anybody who's here on the planet incarnated right now, it's not for wimps. This is very difficult. This is something that it gives you a huge amount of soul growth, and that's not to be taken away. Now, that's like a cosmic law.
Yeah, your guides right now, they're encouraging you, and everybody has guides. There's nobody that doesn't have guides. Why? And that says something right there. Why do we need guides going into this? Because this is a heck of a ride. This is an intense experience that can take the equivalent of many years, decades, or even centuries sometimes to get and process through all of the emotional, energetic residue of a life. And so, many do not immediately jump right back in. They take a long time to process everything that they experienced. And here we see La Palma's volcano's northern flank collapsing. And you have blocks of molten lava as large as 3-story buildings sliding down a hillside. And it's still ongoing. And again, what we have gotten is that this is most definitely something that has been artificially flavored and manufactured. And again, we have to be careful, because this is something that the controllers themselves don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be. They just know that they have their agenda, and their agenda basically is control through fear. It's just that simple. Control through fear. That's the whole agenda right there.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, this is ongoing, and more buildings, more houses, more land being destroyed, and then more land being built. And with this collapses that's going on, we really have to be very, very careful. One of our family members was looking to move to a coastal location, and I was like, "Did you see La Palma?" And they're like, "What? What about who? La Palma? What's that?" I was stunned, because there's somebody that really watches things, but they only watch the geopolitical side.
Right.
So they don't really watch the earth changes as much. And we need to pay attention to all this, everything that's going on. U.S. is on pace to exceed the record number of billion-dollar disasters in 2021 that was set last year. So here's the record on top of a record. And while we haven't had as much of an impact as far as the hurricanes this year, thankfully, there's other things that are going on. And by the way, there are the possibility for tornadoes through like Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas today. Just to be aware of it tonight, there is that possibility. And so, we're just setting records on top of records. And all this does affect people big time as well. The saturation that's going on over, just for instance, in the Waynesville area, Elena, hello, Elena, she was, asking for prayers to be sent there, because it has been cold and damp over in western North Carolina. Then when you head towards the shore in North Carolina, there's actually a pretty severe drought that's building. So again, all this, we know about those patents that have been declassified going all the way back to 1891. And really, when you look at it, how about the Justinian plagues? That's one for people to do research. We've talked about that before too. All sorts of sightings in medieval times of things in the sky, and then the sky being sprayed and plastered. You either got extraterrestrials with this, or you have basically a breakaway society that is so far ahead technologically that it would boggle the mind. But we had discussions with our good friend David Devine years ago about that, and we did talk about that in some lives. And as he brought up, like before, what if you have these big cataclysms every 12,000 years, but 10 cycles ago people went underground and knew the timing, knew astrologically when we're going to get into these big cycles, so they would go back on into the Earth itself in tunnels and in bases, survive through these times, come back out. They would look like gods to everybody that got wiped out on the surface. And when the magnetic pole reversal, the magnetosphere drops to a certain level, it's actually been shown in that it can give us amnesia, and we are basically people that have amnesia. Humans are a race with amnesia, and we see meteorite crashes through a roof and lands right next to the sleeping lady right by her pillow. This is in British Columbia.
That's some serious. She better go out and get a lotto ticket.
Oh, she won the lottery there.
Yep.
Yeah, might not. That's the way you could look at things. You could say, "Wow, I won the lottery. It didn't hit me in the head."
Yep.
Or you could say, "Damn, I got a hole in my roof. You know,
Yeah.
How could this happen to me?"
Perspective, perspective, perspective.
Hair analysis shows meditation training reduces long-term stress. Measured cortisol. And after just 6 months of practicing some meditation just on a regular basis, the hair had decreased the amount of cortisol in it by about 25% on average. Think about how much healthier and stress-free you could be with meditation. You know, you can't overstate it until you develop that practice, that regular practice. For me, it's a reset. You know, you could find yourself getting hit by all the bad news out there and everything that's going on. And then for me, you know, connecting with the mantras, Qigong, yoga, all of that, still meditation. I could come away after a session and I don't even feel like the same person. I mean, I feel like I took an internal shower.
It does. It's really, really something that everyone should start with. A minute. Get your timer out and just close your eyes for a minute. Let your energy just kind of still itself. Just give it 1 minute and kind of watch and see how things change around you. It's really interesting.
It is. You know, everything can change through repetition. This is the power. And so I just wanted to bring up the playlists again to show you guys. There's a lot of different playlists here, but you know, there is one for yoga, Vedic astrology, mantras, and healing through energy work, Qigong meditation, and Reiki. You know, so check out those playlists and get into it deep. We are going to be doing, and we promise we are going to be doing a whole bunch of new videos to go in a little bit deeper. And videos where we're doing mantras, you know, for higher repetition, so you guys could follow along. Traditionally, you do them in cycles of 108. You know, 108 is a sacred number. So we'll be putting them out there. And mantras, how many people, I mean, everybody we've talked to that we suggest that they do mantras, they'll be like, it's totally changed everything for me.
Oh, completely. Their lives are completely transformed. Their health is better. They're sleeping better. They're behaving better. Things around them have calmed down. I mean, really, it's just a technology that's really overlooked.
Yeah, there's a quote in the Bible where it's said that Yeshua, Jesus said, don't pray in vain repetition like the heathens. And that to me is most definitely the controllers putting that in there. And, you know, we got from Yeshua, he never said it. You know, while he did give the bulk of what we know as the Beatitudes, which are beautiful teachings, because repetition is how we get better at things. Repetition is how we connect. I've used the analogy before. Okay, so do you think LeBron James could be LeBron James if he didn't practice shooting? Of course not. You know, it takes muscle memory. You have to do it again and again and again. Like anything, you know, first time you play a certain video game, you might not do so well. But after the 1000th time you played it, you're an expert. Whatever it is, first time out fishing, whatever it is, it takes practice, it takes repetition. But when we're talking about the mantras, the Sanskrit alphabet, the sounds, there's basically 50 petals in the lotuses of the chakras. And each one of those petals is basically analogous to a certain Sanskrit letter and sound. So by doing these mantras, the sounds open up your chakras. They literally open up your chakras and they let your kundalini flow. So there's a reason why, to me, it's way more powerful. And this is why they're done in the traditional Sanskrit than, say, saying them with an English translation. Because again, English is a language that's been constructed from many other languages, and we could see the intent with English.
Oh, it's chaos. It's to create chaos, English language,
It
and
is.
confusion.
Yeah, I mean, we have all these, we've gotten into it before about spelling and, good morning. You ever think about that? Good morning. Have a good morning.
Yeah.
What's morning? Morning is when you're in grief. This is the whole upside downness of our language. And the Sanskrit is as far as we know, we don't know what language would be older than that. There is a mysterious language that they haven't yet identified that they believe it comes from, but it is a unique one, and the sounds can have profound effects on our body, as everything is about frequency and vibration. And these sounds, when done repetitively, they can bring harmony to the body. They can open up chakras and stimulate the flow of the life force in the body. So very, very positive. So I really encourage people to explore mantras. And I want to thank everybody that is subscribed. Make sure you have the button clicked as well, so hopefully you'll get some notifications. And we want to thank our Patreons out there as well. We couldn't do it without you guys and your support on Patreon, Ko-Fi. And check out Medicinal Foods. There's a link at the top of every video. Stay prepared out there. Keep going stronger every day with your spiritual life and your spiritual pursuits. That has to become preeminent, because in 5D, we live a spiritual life. That's what 5D is. It's seeing source in everything all around you all the time and recognizing that connectedness. So it's all about moving higher in vibration and frequency and moving closer to source.
Absolutely.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.